Steelcase started green in 1970, actually. We didn't know what green meant at that time, but we tried to improve everything we could in the process of making furniture to make it safe. We had local people, we had students, and we had professors, and we had the University of Michigan and other people like that working on projects that we were trying to solve. One was air, water, clean air, clean water, and the proper disposal of waste. That's how we started. And so people were not doing that in those days, and we didn't have the EPA at that time to really say you can't do that anymore. You're creating all the bad stuff that has to be cleaned up. Why not do it right in the first place? So that's where we started in 1970.
Peter Wegge's had a tremendous impact on Steelcase over the years. I think just by asking us hard questions about the environment 10 years earlier than anybody else, he got us thinking about these issues. And just by thinking about them, we got smarter about them, and we started designing products differently, started setting up our plants differently, and it really prepared us to be a leader in sustainability. When you think about process and profitability and sustainability, there are people who think these things are in conflict. But actually, if you take a design approach to them, you can accept certain constraints and set certain objectives, and you can actually work your way through these problems. You can come up with solutions that meet all three objectives. But the key is to start with literacy. You have to really understand sustainability and the elements of it in order to solve the problem. So we find that by taking that design approach and improving our own literacy, we really are able to find solutions that address all three at the same time.
The thing to remember is that sustainability is nothing new to Steelcase, and that when they founded the company, that this was part of what they wanted the company to be, part of their vision for the company. They weren't viewed as environmentalists, but that the idea to protect the environment and to protect the people, not only who worked for Steelcase, but used Steelcase products, was a big deal. And so when I came to Steelcase, it was only consistent with my own values and the values of the group that I wanted to create. And so in our design process, we don't explicitly say, what were the founding fathers thinking, but it's such a part of the mindset around here. And now it's such a part of our vision.
Like many companies, we have a lot of smaller things we do, from recycling business cards to using the right kinds of paper and plastic. And that helps all of our people participate, but you can't forget that we are an office furniture company. And so if at Steelcase we're not working on the furniture, then we're sort of missing the point. You have to really understand the chemistry of the materials that go into your product, down to the compound level. What's in each one of those compounds and how will it affect the environment 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now? That's hard work, requiring chemical engineers to do the kinds of things that mechanical engineers had to do at Steelcase 20 years ago in making sure the product was going to last a long time. Life cycle analysis is another kind of hard work. It requires our supply chain people and logistics people to think about the energy that's consumed to move raw materials from the point of extraction all the way through the supply chain and only ending when that product reaches the end of its life. Recycling and reusing product seems like a pretty simple thing, but what people don't understand is that for us to really work on recycling, we have to think about it at the beginning of the life cycle of that product. The designers in the design studio have to already be thinking about how will this product be taken apart at the end. If they aren't thinking about it then we're really just kidding ourselves that it's truly recyclable.
Our design philosophy, we try to describe with our feet and our hands and how we move and the actions we take. So we express that in the fact that our desire is to make the world better in some small ways and some big ones. And, we articulate that through our work as product designers. The small things you can only measure, in the team because they're sometimes so subtle that they're small victories or small moves. The big things are the headline makers like Think, the Think chair, and the story behind Think. The the fabrics that we do with design techs, that can become composted, the LEED certified plants and showrooms, the number of cradle-to-cradle products, those are great. But again, the self-motivation to create these small changes that no one else notices, that can only come from someone's own inner commitment to this idea. And I always say that when you meet somebody or when you're really judging somebody, you listen to their verbal language and you watch their body language. So there's a lot of verbal language going on in the world today about sustainability. I mean, if you look at the things we're doing, it's measurable. It's about metrics. We can back that up with information. We can show you the data.
When you think about the influences on a company, you have to go back to the people who ran the company 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And so people like Peter Wege and Bob Pugh really cared about these issues. Today we distinguish between environmental sustainability and social sustainability. They just thought this was part of being a good citizen, just being part of your community. So they emphasized with us all these values, including how you give back to your community, how you protect your community, how you build positive relationships with your employees. And that's just part of the legacy that they created. And we hope that we're continuing and building on that legacy today.
Do all the good you can for all the people you can for as long as you can. Just if you did that in your life, just think of what would happen.